Good morning, folks. Hey, we're gonna set out today a little bit different. Instead of in search of lost highways, well, we're gonna show you what the desert looks like with a touch of snow and a little winter. Show you something really pretty spectacular. Makes Kingman a great place. There'll be a little bit of the lost highways here. Mostly what we're doing today is sharing one of my favorite places, kind of my backyard. Believe it or not, we are currently, oh gosh, as the crow flies, probably about 2 miles from downtown Kingman. Some of you may recognize this trail from one of our In Search of Lost Highway videos a while back. This is part of what they call the White Cliffs Trail System, developed partnership Kingman Main Street, Colorado River Area Trail Alliance, City of Kingman, and local volunteers. Had a little bit of a touch of winter yesterday. We get just enough snow in Kingman usually, so we realize how beautiful it is, and why we choose not to live in a place where we have to put up with it every day. But it does transform the desert. Pretty astounding. This trail system does follow some of the old roads, and I'll show you a bit of that here in just a few minutes. Sections of what we're on now, this road would be part of the late 19th century Stockton Hill Road, which is fairly well documented. It's one of the stops on the Kingman Main Street narrated historic district walking tours. You can find that at kingman.tours. That is set up to be a virtual tour as well as a physical tour. But this is also part of the old Taggart Road, which we have very, very little information about. All we know is that that was a toll road built somewhere around 1890, and the goal was to kind of bypass the steep grades at Coyote Pass up above Beale Springs, the subject of one of our In Search of Lost Highways video series. And the toll road would have been a little bit longer but easier. Would have went out through Johnson Canyon. It would have crossed the Beale Wagon Road about 2 miles in that direction. The rest of these roads were probably ranching roads and different things over the years, and there's just not a lot of information. But this is one of the things that makes Kingman such a delightful place. Like say, we're just a couple miles from downtown Kingman. And eventually they'll be connecting this trail system with the trail system over at Beale Springs, the Cerbat Foothills recreation area, which is about 3-4 miles that direction there. These trails have a pretty extensive network. I don't know how many miles of trails they've gotten completed, but boy, there's a bunch of them, and they're really nice. Really nice. You can go from the Elks Lodge here in Kingman all the way to the downtown historic district. Makes for real nice. I have to say, it's probably one of the nicest urban trail systems. Between this and the Cerbat Foothills recreation area, probably one of the best trail systems in the country for a good urban trail system. The snow yesterday was got a little cold, a little chilly, what passes for winter here. We really haven't had much of a winter this year. We've only had, oh, maybe a week to 10 days total where the temperatures have been below 30 in the mornings. And most days it's 45 to 60, even been 70 on a few occasions, which is really surprising. We are in desperate need of water in this country. It's been dry for at least a dozen years. And when I was a kid, oh, we would get 8, maybe 10 inches of rain and snow, and you know, pretty much every year. I doubt if we've been getting 4 inches the last few years. I mention this often, but I often wonder if we're going to start hunting jerky instead of deer. You know it is dry when the cactus start dying. Now this right here, we showed this in a series, our Lost Highway series. This is the old road here. This would be the 1890-ish Stockton Hill Road. Came in here. The wagon ruts that are really famous are over on this side of the canyon. So the road would have come up through this canyon, made this bend. The Taggart Road is back further up in the canyon, and there's not a lot of traces. We'll climb up in the canyon here. Like I say, I'll share these beautiful trail system with you. It's pretty spectacular. And if you're doing a Route 66 trip, you want to get some great photography, stretch your legs a bit, well, this is it. Like I say, we're just a couple miles, mile and a half, 2 miles from Route 66 in downtown Kingman, which is, well, it makes it pretty darn nice, I think. We'll get you the full skinny on this. Like I say, it's the Colorado River Area Trail Alliance has put this together. With volunteer help. You come out here in the early mornings. I usually do this around sunrise, and the area is thick with deer, fox, and other wildlife. I have been out here once and spotted a mountain lion. They're pretty reclusive, but I have seen some tracks out here. They're pretty darn elusive. I've scared up a badger or two and a few other critters over the years. I say this often, but if you're doing this in the warmer months, it's best to do it early, beat the heat. And even though you're close to town, always carry water. If you don't need it, somebody you run into might. And the other one is, try to stick to the trails and the clearings, the clear areas. Keep your eyes open for snakes. Now obviously snakes aren't going to be a problem today, unless they got their long johns. It's not overly cold, mid-30s, but snakes kind of like the warmer weather. The trail system is pretty extensive, and won't tie you up too long today. We'll keep this kind of short, but just give you a sneak peek here. The higher we climb up in the canyons, the mountains there with the cloud cover, that's the Wallapai Mountains, and a beautiful county park and a lodge, RV park up there, about 12 miles south of Kingman on a paved road. A little steep in spots, but nothing overly serious. They've got a nice trail system there, But since that's higher in the mountains, winter can be a challenge, because where we get a dusting of snow, they might get a foot. But come summer, that's a great place. If you go down to the Colorado River, 30 to 60 miles, depending on where you hit. 30 miles to Bullhead, 60 miles to Lake Havasu City, or Needles, California. I'm an old desert rat. I want one of the dry roasted nuts, but come summer, that river country is pretty intense. 120 degrees is real common. And Kingman, I've seen it push the 110 mark a few times, but generally we run about 105 in the summer, except for the monsoon season. Not very humid, 5–10%, so it's relatively comfortable. But again, you drive up to the Wallapies, it'll be 15, maybe even 20 degrees cooler. Perfect for hiking those pine forested trails. And trust me, it is pine forested trails up there. If Route 66 enthusiasts or travelers in Arizona are familiar with the Williams and Flagstaff area, that's kind of what you'll find up in the Wallapai Mountains. You'll find elk in the lodge parking lot very often, deer, occasional bears up there, a little bit of wildlife. But common sense is really, that's the key to all of this, is a little bit of common sense. You can find more information on this trail system through Kingman Tourism. They should be able to help you out on that. But if you do have any issues or questions or want some directions, well, drop me a note, and I try to respond in a timely manner. After all, telling people where to go, well, that's what we do at Jim Hinckley's America. We'll get back to our Lost Highway series shortly. I'm working on a couple new videos. And let me put this out there. I'd sure like to hear from you. If you would like to join me on a few of these morning walkabouts, virtually of course, well, drop me a note. It would really be my pleasure to bring you along on my walkabout outings. And while we're talking about outings and adventures, as followers know, Jim Hinckley's America is about inspiring road trips or adventures by telling people where to go. But it's also the sharing of America's story. And that's why we also have the Sunday morning live Coffee with Jim audio podcast with really interesting guests. We've had Katie Barrick, Oklahoma Department of Commerce and Oklahoma Route 66 Association. We've had Casey Claypool, the owner of Docks Off 66 in Girard, Illinois. That is also the Illinois Scenic Byways Director. Authors, artists, event organizers, all kinds of interesting people sharing America's story. And that's on Podbean, live 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings, Arizona time. I always preface that with Arizona time because we don't do daylight savings time. So it gets kind of confusing sometimes. But anyway, that program, after it's live, it's published and distributed through Spotify and major podcast platforms. And it's also as an embedded player for all our archived programs. on the Jim Hinckley's America website. That's easy enough to find. JimHinckley'sAmerica.com. Isn't this beautiful country? I never tire of this country. It's I've been wandering these hills for dang near 60 years, and I'm always coming up with new things and new places to find and explore and see. And coming out of that sun, but they've strategically placed a few benches here where you can get some great panoramic views of the surrounding countryside. We'll go up to the next bench, and then I'll bid you guys adios, and look forward to hearing your comments, your suggestions. A couple things you might like. We're also experimenting with some driving videos, part of our In Search of Lost Highway series. We've got one planned for the Route 66 section up through Sitgreaves Pass by the ghost towns of Gold Road and Oatman. And that's got a little bit of a personal connotation. That video should be ready shortly. I'll give you a tour of the old homestead that my pa and I built along Route 66 back in the 60s. Not much there anymore. The old place is pretty much a tumble down. But take you up Ed's Camp, Cool Springs, and show you some of the National Old Trails Road, predecessor to Route 66 that a lot of folks miss. Isn't this gorgeous? Damned icy up here today. That's all I need to do is take another spill. I'm just getting my leg back together. Huh. Trails are pretty good here. Obviously, they're not, you don't need to be a professional hiker, but it helps if you're in moderate shape. These trails can get pretty steep. There's a series of trails that'll cross the canyon and take you right up on top where you've got panoramic views of Kingman and the surrounding areas. Kingman's just pretty much on the backside of that hill. As you noticed in my In Search of Lost Highway series, when we went out to Beale Springs, that trail to the springs is almost wheelchair accessible. It's real easy. And this is another example of why Kingman is such a special place. Just about anything you could think of is here. Funny, Kingman's always been a place stop on the way to. You know, even in the song about getting your kicks on Route 66, it seems to be it's listed as one of the stops on the way to. The legend is, local legend, the Kingman was founded by people who stopped and waited for the wind to quit blowing, and everybody else, well, they just broke down. After 5-6 months, you realize it's not such a bad place. Oh boy, this is slick, slick, slick. I was never much of a fan for ice skating. But this is kind of a rarity, snow in the desert. So I wanted to kind of take you along and share this with you. It's just so wonderful. The brisk, clean desert air makes you feel alive. For you folks back the North Country, Montana, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. This is a kind of almost like a spring day in your neck of the woods. You can see this road below the canyon there, cliff. That's the old Stockton Hill Road from the 1890s. The Taggart Road came in from this other direction, and for a brief time they ran together, and they both crossed the old Beale Road up in that direction, north of what is now Kingman. And it's my intent on one of our In Search of Lost Highways videos, I'll take you out and show you some remnants of the Beale Road. Well, here we go. Here's a bench. I'm going to keep walking this morning. Probably end up with 3, 4, 5 miles. But I wanted to give you a good shot of this anyway. This down here in this creek bottom, canyon bottom, down in through here, Taggart Road cuts through this canyon here. Kingman's on the other side of that antenna. Kind of give you a point of reference. I-40, it'd be down through that canyon over there. I-11 will be going that direction pretty quick. You can catch a glimpse of some vehicles right through there on I-40. This is the Cerbat Mountains, by the way. This is a kind of a point of reference. Well, my friends, thank you for joining me this morning, and hope it didn't bore you too bad. And I look forward to hearing your input, ideas, thoughts, suggestions. And well, until we meet again, my friends, take care and vaya con Dios. Become a subscriber to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on the walkabouts or any of our other series. And chime in. I'd sure like to get your input on what you'd like to see from Jim Hinckley's America. My friends, I guess that about does it. Adios, mi amigos.